Okay, so welcome everybody. Today I'm going to go through Organised and Optimised. So I'm Skevi Constantinou. I'm a former executive assistant and also the founder of the PA Way. Admin is 100% my jam. I love admin. Just by a show of hands, who is in the administrative profession already? Okay, who is not in the administrative profession? That's fine. For those in the admin profession, some of this you might already know. You might have some breakthroughs, you might have some new ideas. Just take from it what you will. And for those who aren't in the profession, I hope I can help you level up your admin game as well. So before I start, I want to do like a little check, like a little review. So how many times have you wished in the day that there were more hours? Yeah, chasing that 25th hour, right? Usually I do this as a post-it exercise, but you can just think to yourself, I want you to think to yourself one word how you're currently feeling when it comes to your admin. So is it stressed, overwhelmed, are you on top of it? However you're feeling, I want you to keep that in your mind throughout the course of my presentation. Do you wish you had extra energy and time? Hell yes. Do you make excuses when it comes to your admin as well? Yeah? Yeah, don't worry, I feel ya. Are you feeling overwhelmed? Because what I want to do is take you from stressed to success. Now, I'm here to tell you the truth about two myths, okay? The first one is that you can get on top of your admin. And the second one is gingers do have souls. I'm just putting it out there, okay? Gingers do have souls. So how do you start with your admin? You have to make a plan, because failing to plan is planning to fail. And the most important thing of all comes down to the discipline of time management. So being busy is not a badge of honor. You can be busy for the sake of being busy, right? But it's about being productive and doing the right things that move the needle on your task map. I want you to set yourself up for success. Admin shouldn't be an overwhelm. Admin should be something that gets you productive and doing the things that you need to be doing on your task, but also pouring into your own cup for self-care. Because you do have the control to level up. So how do you make the plan work? It all starts with your to-do list. If you don't have a to-do list, you're setting yourself up for failure on day one. So what I want you to do every day, I want you to write a new to-do list and map out your tasks. From your tasks, you then create subtasks. And you prioritize by the order of importance, what needs to get done. And you have to set a deadline of when you want that task to be done. If you don't set deadlines onto your tasks, you won't get them done. It's Parkinson's law. You won't see it as urgent, and you'll be like, right, I can do that another time. And say, for example, you wrote a few tasks on your to-do list and you've done them, which is amazing. The next day when you come in, I want you to do a new to-do list, and the ones that you didn't fulfill at the bottom of the task, I want you to get a fresh to-do list and move them to the top. And the reason that is because when you walk into work the next day or to your clients or whatever, when you see your to-do list, if it's all got lines crossed through from the day before and you've still got a lot of them tomorrow, subconsciously you're already going to start having red flags, feeling overwhelmed, your heart rate's going to increase. So if you move your tasks that you didn't do from the day before to a new one, you'll be setting yourself up for the day. So I am a self-confessed nerd. I'm an absolute geek and I love the science. So productivity experts found that if you take 1 minute to plan, you save 10 minutes in execution. So imagine if you spent like a few minutes a day planning, how much you would get back time-wise. The American Psychological Association found that multitasking took a toll on productivity by 40%. That's basically, think of your brain as a browser and having every single tab open. Multitasking versus monotasking is out. It's all about focusing and deep diving on one task. And the Institute of Psychiatry at UCL found that multitasking reduced your IQ by 10%. So imagine if you're constantly working on too many tasks, how much you're actually lowering your IQ. And when you're multitasking and you're giving too much to too many tasks, you create a mental blank, you get brain fog. And I want you to envision your brain like a sponge, right? So the more you pour into that sponge, something's going to give. You have to squeeze the sponge out. You have to squeeze some information. If you're always at 100% capacity, you won't have any information to be able to be stored into your neural pathways because your sponge is full. So that is what they're talking about with multitasking. If you keep filling it up with lots and lots of different things, you're not going to be able to have to move the needle on your tasks, and you're not going to be able to absorb new information. With that said, and if you're like me, my own worst enemy, you also comes at a sacrifice of your own self-care. So by a show of hands, how many people for this week have put something in the diary, whether it's grab a coffee on your own, read a chapter of your book, go for a walk, how many of you have put something in the diary, even 15 minutes for self-care this week? Yeah, no, well done if you have, well done if you have. That's what I'm trying to say. We're so focused on supporting the people that we support in our roles or our clients or our diaries that we're not implementing self-care for ourselves. So I want you to look at your week going ahead and just even put 15 to 20 minutes, what I call white space, in the diary to do something that sets your soul on fire. So avoiding distractions, one of my favorite things. So we live in the real world now compared to social media. How many times a day do you find yourself scrolling relentlessly and you're like, I've just lost an hour to watching cat reels on Instagram? Yeah? Yeah. You're laughing because it's relatable. I don't even want to look at, in your phone where you can see how many hours you've spent on different apps. I'm too scared to actually see how long I spend on LinkedIn and how much I was watching reels on Instagram at 3 o'clock in the morning. But it takes away that comparison because you're always looking at how the other half live, and it takes away from your joy in this present moment. When you go to a cinema to watch a film, the social norm is that you put your phone away, don't you, for up to 2 hours or whatever it is. Unless you're watching Lord of the Rings, then you're in there for the long one, right? So when you go to the cinema, you put your phone on cinema mode and you enjoy the film for 2 hours. What I'm imploring you to do is when it comes to doing something for your task that you need to deep dive and give your focus to, either put yourself on cinema or flight mode. So when you're on an aeroplane, say you're on an aeroplane for 10 hours, you'll put your phone on flight mode. You'll probably, like most people, catch up with work when you're off the plane. We should be doing that when we're trying to focus on our project work as well. Desk drive-bys. Oh my goodness me. How many people work in an office for like an employer? Yeah. And how many people during the day come and have a chat and just stop by at your desk when you're trying to do work, right? That's a desk drive-by. I mean, I don't mind people coming over to my desk at work, but surely, the communal birthday card can wait if you can see that I'm trying to do my job. Desk drive-bys take away a lot of hours in the day as well. So what you can do with desk drive-bys is actually set boundaries with signals. I'm not asking you to be Batman and send out a bat signal, but you can set boundaries. There was a woman I worked with that whenever she used to have a plant on her desk, it basically means, don't even approach me, I'm deep diving in my work. There was another lady that used to have a lamp on her desk. When the light was on, she weren't home, okay? So she used to be like, don't approach. And the reason is that psychological studies have found that every time somebody comes over to your desk just to say, hello, how was your weekend? It actually takes you 25 minutes to get back in the zone. So 25 minutes here and there, that's a few hours of where you could have been doing deep dive work. So I want you to organize your space in a way that's going to set you up for productivity and for success. Because when you're productive, you have a higher quality of work. Let's get your geek on again. Right, a basic study found that we lose 2.1 hours in a day due to distractions. That could be stuff that's doing that to set you up for success, to give you time with your families, whatever it is that you love to do. A rescue time study found that we can open emails up to 50 times per day and receive 77 messages across different forms of social media, email, and whatnot. If you're in the administrative profession, that is going to be a lot higher because of the amount of stakeholder inboxes or client inboxes that you're looking for. And a Zipdo study found that 37% of social media users, felt overwhelmed by the information in their feeds. I was on Instagram a few weeks ago, and there was a Japanese bird that just came up on my reel. I thought, what an unusual looking bird. And I clicked like, oh my God, I am now a specialist in Japanese ornithology, right? My whole Instagram reels now are just full of Japanese birds, and I can't get back on my normal algorithm. Because when you click something that you like on social media, the algorithm's like, hell yes, we're just gonna keep flooding you with lots of information. So looking at this photo here, apart from the fact that I want to breathe into a paper bag, right, does this look like organised chaos? Does anyone look at this and think, you know what, that's a really productive desk setup? There's no right or wrong answer. Perception, everybody's entitled to. Everyone has a different perception. So there's no one here that thinks, you know what, I really relate to that? No? Okay, yeah, that's absolutely fine. If that's your get up and it works for you, don't you worry. For me personally, that's too messy for me. So usually I would ask, but obviously I know you've got the headsets on, what we could do to help this person with their desk setup. So we could obviously get a good filing system going on for a start. We could get like a bookshelf, definitely like give it a clean, get all the wires done, don't know what this is, you know, like move all the stuff so that they can have everything in their reach. So your space is what's going to help you be productive. If that works for you, that's great, but think about your workspace to help you set up for success. Time blocking, my favorite thing with admin, right? What is it? So time blocking is where you plan your week in advance, right? You run the diary. It's not the other way round. If you're finding that the diary is running you, some of your admin systems are not working for you, and I implore you to revise and have a look. You should be fully in control of the diary. Your brain functions up to 120 minutes before that sponge that I showed you earlier is at full capacity. If you work over 120 minutes, you've got to factor in some break buffers because your brain will be at 100% capacity, and any information that you are learning will not be absorbed. Psychologists have done test after test. Because the longer time that you're working on a project, you're going to have bigger dips in concentration and your quality of work is compromised. You've got to let your brain stretch. You've got to let the neuroplasticity stretch out so that you can absorb new information. And that's why time blocking is really helpful. So, how to save some time with hacks? Dedicate certain tasks for your admin into time blocking. So looking at this, for example, you know, you've got your coffee breaks, you've got training, you've got an online meeting. You can put those in as reoccurring items or new admin tasks. Your to-do list is what you need to do, and your time blocking is when you have to do it. Does that make sense? Yep. Awesome. You give full focus to that. So for example, this person's got training, they're going to have a full burst of training, they're going to give their focus, and it's going to move the needle. Block off distractions. So if, you know, your friend from pensions in the pensions department's coming over and wants to have a chat, but you want to get your online meeting sorted for your training, put those desk boundaries in place. Color coding should be in every single diary. If your diary still looks like the Outlook, just generic blue color, you're not optimizing your diary enough. Color code so that at a glance you know what you're doing. You can add notes inside the time blocking as well. So for example, if it was this online meeting, you could add any email chains or any notes that you could have to hand with the time blocking. If you take anything away today from my presentation, it's these two words, linear and familiar. If I opened your diaries after this presentation in a few weeks, I want to be able to see that your diary is linear, so there's no conflicts, and it's familiar, so that if anybody you worked with took over to cover you or anything, for example, they would know what is happening. There should be no conflicts like this, no blocks. It's got to be straight and it's got to be familiar. Let's go get your geek on again. So, TimeWatch reported that 91% of people agreed that better time management would reduce their stress levels at work. 91%. That's an insane statistic, all because of time management. A rescue time study found that monotasking, so working on an individual task, allows you to have 80% productivity by splitting your tasks. So basically what they're saying is instead of saying you've got to work on the conference, but also do the minutes and the expenses, by doing it, only focusing on one task, you're going to have 80% more productivity. And the Zeigarnik effect demonstrated the act of planning your tasks ahead, so that's with time blocking, reduced burden on the brain. And that's because it reduces decision fatigue. So when you get to your desk and you're like, oh, I don't know what I've got to do this morning, oh, I'm all over the place, I haven't even took my coat off, by having the time blocking linear and familiar in the diary, that helps reduce the burden on the brain. So how do you schedule the week ahead? You've got to find what works best for you because you're the one that's running the diary. Where are you going to give your bursts of focus to? And you've got to add break buffers. You are not machines, you are not robots, you know, as much as I'm sure the administrative profession is as well. You've got to add your break buffer. So even here, walk to the studio, you know, shower, jog to the coffee shop. They've added in the break buffers. It also allows your eyes to stretch and have a rest. And what I used to do when I was an executive assistant is all the CEOs and the partners I used to work for, I used to tell them, you're having a 45-minute meeting. I never used to give them a 1 hour because that 15-minute window allowed them to walk to their next meeting, have a toilet break, decompress, you know, put like any notes that they did from the meeting. Because if you give them 45 minutes, they're going to do it in 45 minutes. If you give it in 15 minutes, they're going to do it in 15. These hour meetings are prolonging decisions that can be made within 45 minutes. And for people who say, oh, I'm not very good with like Outlook or anything, there's no excuse because you can even time block in a diary just manually like this. So this is somebody's exam stuff, and they've time blocked, look, break, study, break, so you can still do it in your notepads as well. Projects and files. So how do you project batch? So if you're working on like a really exciting upcoming project, everything should be linear and familiar and be able to project batch. When you project batch, you increase your productivity, okay? Because when you organize your files, they're easy to get to, and I'm going to show you some quick wins for desktop and phone hacks as well. So this is something I've come up with. It's an acronym for, it's called CU. All your folders in your desktop and on your desktop that you're working on should be simple labeling, so the name of what you're working on. It should be easy to find. It should have effective information, so if somebody was going in, they would be able to find the information within it, and it should be user-friendly. So for example, if you had access to my desktop, you'll be able to find all my stuff because I've used basically this system. It's labeled easy, you can find what you're looking for, it's got all the information you need to know, and it's user-friendly. So if you want to screenshot that, that is really good for when it comes to your project batching as well. So, for example, using that acronym that I've just showed you, you would theme your projects or your tasks with the different folders. So for example, you've got finance, travel, and photos. You would create a folder with the category name. You would then create subfolders inside, and you'd save all the documents within that topic. So let's break it down further. Finance, expenses 2024, January 24. Does that make sense? So that's how you're using effective and simple labeling so that anyone would be able to go in and find all this access. Again, another example, awards 2025, the guest list, the dietaries to the guest list. Everything should be linear and familiar because that's how you create more success because you're working really productively. So with project batching, if you're working on a project, which is great, you need to have a separate to-do list for each project. Because if you have one to-do list and you're adding lots of different projects that you're working on, you're going to be overwhelmed. So have a separate to-do list for each project. And what I love is a post-it party. I'm surrounded by post-its in where I work. So what you can do is on each post-it, you can almost mind map the project that you're working on, and you can map it out just even on the wall so that at a glance you can see the overview of how you're going to bring it together. Once you've planned it out with your post-it party, you can then transfer the tasks that you need to do into your diary as time blocking, and then you complete the task. So can you see how it all correlates together? So you're going to do the task, put it into time block, and then you're going to get the task done. Rinse and repeat. That is the most simplest formula of how you're going to be able to create success. You also need to have a look at the systems on your actual desktop. So on your desktop bar, you should just have the most common things, your quick access that you use. And then you should also look at the different folder management systems that you have as well. Whose desktop looks like that? Thanks for being so honest. You're deleting a lot. You know what? You're leveling up. You're making room for improvement. I saw that, and I had to sit there for about a minute just for my brain to register what was going on. If your desktop looks like this, you need to get all your folders batched up. You need, he's got Warcraft here, bless him, or her. You need to move everything to a games folder. Then it would be the names of the games and put everything in there. So let's just do a quick review. Think about, do you need all your folders on your desktop and on your phone? Do you need them all, right? What can be tidied up? And how can you build your operating system to keep you organized and optimized and level up for success? Like I said, your taskbar should be your quick access only. And again, linear and familiar, so that if anybody was to open your phone that you want to give them access to, they would be able to see at a glance, right, this is what they're working on. Let's go get your geek on again. A Brother survey found that 2 in 5 people admit a messy desk directly impacts their productivity. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine found people who slept in cluttered rooms were most likely having sleep problems. And if you do have a messy desk, fear not. If you read that. So you could have the cleanest desk, but also a messy desk can help some people. And I think he knew what he was talking about. So it's not always a bad thing. Silver lining and everything. So your phone setup is another way for you to get productive in the week as well, because we're always on our phones. So structure your screen in a logical way that works for you. Remember my acronym CU? Apply that also to your folders. And make use of your pages. So what I mean here is, loads of people that I see when they give me their phones and they're like, Skevi, please help me, make it work. They put everything on the first page of their phone. You can swipe across and you have got other pages for you to store your apps as well. It hasn't all got to be on page 1. And block any notifications that you don't need. So if you're constantly getting, notifications from Skype, for example, and you don't want them, you can go into your settings for that particular app, you choose notifications and turn off the notifications for that app. Interestingly, a lot of people don't know that you can actually go into an individual app to turn off the notifications. So how can you do it for your phone? So how you app batch for your folders. So you could have a folder labeled entertainment, and then all your apps for entertainment go in there. And the same for your music as well can go in. So that it's all linear, it's all familiar. Let's do another little review. Again, do you need all your apps? Do you need all your notifications on? Remember the study of how many you get, over 77 notifications a day? That's because of all the apps being on for you to be notified. Can you group your apps like I showed you just then? Put everything in entertainment, put everything in travel, for example. And if you're like me, hi, I'm Skevi and I'm a serial screenshotter. I'm really bad. Anyone else love taking screenshots of the most random stuff? Yeah? Yeah, thank you for being here. So if you love taking screenshots of inspirational quotes or Japanese birds in my case, you can put all your screenshots in one folder. such as inspirational quotes or whatever it is that you've seen. And at the end of the week, what I do is I review the screenshots. The ones that I want, I email them to myself. And then I create content, so with my job, I create content based off the screenshots that I've seen as inspiration. But you shouldn't have a phone with just like a million screenshots that you're never going to use. You've got to screenshot it and do something with it, so you either delete. Are you laughing because you're relating to this? Yeah, thanks for being here. So, how do you level up your admin? Let's do another review. Be honest, we're all friends now. We're like, halfway through. Are you optimizing your diary? That's fine. Are you getting your tasks done? Anyone getting their tasks done? Yeah, a few, yeah, okay, that's okay. Do you feel you need more time? Yeah. It goes back to the science. Time Watch reported that 46% of people feel they don't have things under control for 1 to 2 days a week. And Udemy reported that 60% of people found meetings the real distraction of work to be able to complete on their tasks. So people basically saying, because I'm being dragged into meeting after meeting, I can't get any of my tasks done. So that was the real barrier. And this one, Zapier found that 90% of employees check business messaging like Slack or Teams up to 5 hours a day. If you're at work for 8, what's happening with the rest of the hours, right? Because all they were doing was just constantly checking like online communication hubs. So if you think statistically how much time you can get back from just these stats that have been proven, you'd get a lot more time back in your diary. So how do you take back control? So with email management, hands up if you feel very overwhelmed with the amount of email traffic that comes into your inbox. Yeah, okay, that's fine. So what I do is use my system here. So if the email comes in, if you keep it, it should go into a folder or it should stay in your inbox as your to-do list. Can you delegate it to somebody else if you're working in a team? Do you need to be on it? Or can you delete? So keep, delegate, and delete when it comes to every email that comes into your inbox. You can also theme your day. So this is something that I've been doing now. I'm self-employed. This is something that I've been doing now, and it's been an absolute game changer. So I theme my days now based on the 3 C's, but you can do it however you wish. So I have a whole day where I'm stuck on calls from the morning to the afternoon. It's a busy day, but I've got all my calls done for the week. I have a day where I sit and I write content for the PA way. And then I also have a day where I'm like interacting with clients, our members and stuff like that. You can theme your days however it works for you if this is something that you want to do. And the reason I found that it works is because I know my week ahead, but also it's actually helped me significantly actually focus on getting tasks done, because when it came to the end of the week, I just was like, I've got nothing to show. I've done nothing. I've been busy for the sake of being busy. You can also use the traffic light system. So I used to do this when I was an executive assistant, especially when your executives or whoever you support are saying everything is urgent, right? Everything. When an email comes in or a task, is it red? Is it super urgent that you have to do everything right now? Orange, it's urgent, but we can get ready. We've got a little bit of time, And if it's green, the green flags, then yeah, we've got time to wait. We can work on it. If you're working or supporting somebody else as an EA or whatever your role is, consider using the traffic light system when they give you a task and ask them to tell you, is it red, orange, or green? When I used to do that, everything was red. And then I was like, take a moment to think. And they were like, actually, it's orange. You've got time to work on that. It's not really that urgent. Because when you add to your to-do list, something has to give. You can't just be doing absolutely everything. So here are some quick tips. If you've got just a laptop, if you're just working from a laptop, you can open your diary in a new window to view your calendar. You can, with the arrow there. Control and N creates a new event. So that's just a little shortcut key. Control and F to forward a calendar item, and Control and 1 will switch you back to email. So this is really handy if you're just someone that just works off one screen. I know some people only have the one screen or a laptop. These are just some quick wins to help you optimize your admin there. And you can also give options for meetings in advance. So what you do, you create a new meeting, and in there, you clear the date, and you type in whatever week. So say you want to know in 5 weeks' time, I want to have a meeting with you, for example, I would put in there in 5 weeks or 5 days, you click enter, it then gives you the suggestion, and then you can choose from the diary which one. So that just saves you a little bit more time, admin hack, instead of guessing what's the date in 5 weeks or whatever. So that's just another one that not a lot of people know about. This is your saving grace. I should be able to open your diaries going forward and see that everything has a category with clear labeling and color coded. So you can choose regular topics such as meeting, travel, content, and apply it to every single diary entry. So make use of these and color code as you wish. So for example, with mine, I have pink for like personal appointments. Yellow I have as holidays because it reminds me of the sun. I have green for client meetings so that when I open my diary, I already know green is a client meeting. And you've got to work your way up, right? So when you've got a messy inbox like this with lots of things, work from the bottom up. Most people will look at their emails and work from the top down. There's been science to prove that working from the bottom up is actually better because it puts your focus back on your previous tasks from the day before or the hour before that you didn't get to focus on. Your inbox should be your to-do list. I was having a conversation with one of our amazing members, Kim, there at the back yesterday, and we were both saying our inbox is our to-do list, and that is excellent practice because that's what it's supposed to be. Everything else should be archived in a folder or deleted. So remember, keep, delegate, or delete. You can always add your availability as well. Instead of saying, are you free on Tuesday, the 10th, on the 22nd, or whatever, you can reduce your email back and forth and give availability to suit you. And how you do that is just another quick hack, is insert your calendar into the email to show your availability. So what you do is you choose your date range. So you go to insert, you choose your date range, and you can choose how much of your calendar you want to give available to like a potential client or to a stakeholder. And you then populate it here and you share it in their main email and you send it. So it actually shows your availability for the next 7 days. You can filter through the settings and then that gets put into an email and you can send it to a client or a prospect. That saves you then having to sit there for ages, second guessing and going backwards and forwards. So these are just little time hacks to get more time back in your diary to do the things that you should be focusing on, which is things that give you joy. And finally, with some admin audits, I want you to review your week in advance. So obviously we're halfway through the week, well, a little bit into the week now. On Monday next week, I want you to review your week ahead. And I want you to color code everything, okay? If you're not already color coding, please start to color code from Monday. And add white space in the diary for your self-care. So if I open any of your diaries next week, I need to see at least 15 minutes of personal time to do something for you. Because I know a lot of you here are in the administrative profession. We're always supporting other people and we don't think about ourselves too often or not. So please use your amazing skill set to put that in for yourself as well. I want you next week, or even from today, to treat yourself as a meeting. I want you to see yourself as a VIP client and put that meeting in the diary with yourself. So whatever it is you want to do, go shopping, read a chapter of your book, don't move that meeting. Like, you wouldn't move it for your stakeholders unless they said, treat yourself as a meeting. Reoccurring items are amazing because they save time and all the time stacks up towards the end of the week. So any items that you are constantly doing every single day or every week, add them as reoccurring items. Remember to add your break buffers in as well, okay? So make sure that you're putting in break buffers so that that neuroplasticity can stretch. Schedule your lunch. The amount of assistants and people, suppliers that I talk to that see their lunch break as an absolute luxury is through the roof. You are entitled to eat, people, okay? You are allowed to have your lunch break and not answer any emails or do anything for however long your lunch break is. And delete the items that you don't need. So if you want me to do an admin audit with you or anything like that, feel free to get in touch. That's where I hang out at the PA Way and info at the PA Way. Feel free to get in contact. I'm happy to do like mini reviews to